round two of the World Championship, the Grand Prix scene moves from South America to Europe, back to Spain, for the first Grand Prix here since 1981, when we had that memorable epic when 1.24 seconds covered the first five home. That was at Jarama, but this year the Spanish Grand Prix is at this magnificent new circuit at Jerez, which is roughly halfway between Seville and Gibraltar. It's a really demanding circuit too, 2.6 miles long with 10 right and 6 left-hand bends. The drivers like it, the facilities are superb, and it's a very worthy addition to the Grand Prix venues. After the first Grand Prix at Brazil, the World Championship is led by Nelson Piquet, with Ayrton Senna second, Jacques Laffite third, René Arnoux fourth, Martin Brundle fifth, and Gerhard Berger sixth. Whilst the Constructors' Championship is led by Williams, ahead of the Ligier, Lotus, Tyrrell and Benetton teams. The Jerez circuit is new to everyone, of course, but practice has been dominated by one man, Brazilian Ayrton Senna, who rocketed round nearly a second faster than anyone else in his Lotus to achieve his 9th pole position, his 2nd this year, and Lotus's 100th pole position in Grand Prix racing. Nelson Piquet, in only his 2nd Grand Prix for Williams, is 2nd on the grid. Piquet's teammate, Nigel Mansell, is in 3rd place. Reigning world champion Alain Prost in the McLaren is 4th. 5th is Prost's new McLaren teammate, Keke Rosberg. And 6th on the grid, Grand Prix returnee René Arnoux in the Ligier. All the British drivers have done well, with Johnny Dumfries a really excellent 10th in only his 2nd Grand Prix. Martin Brundle's 12th in spite of a heavy crash in the new Tyrrell, and Martin's perfectly okay, I'm glad to say. And 16th on the grid is Jonathan Palmer. So it looks like another battle between the Lotus, Williams and McLaren teams, with the Benetton and Ligier drivers well in the hunt too. But at this new circuit, which is going to be very tough on transmissions, we could well be in for a surprise.
This is Andalusia, the beautiful, sparsely populated rural area of southern Spain. But this weekend people have come here from all over the world to witness an intoxicating battle of horsepower and courage. Not the four-legged sort of horsepower, even though the area is famous for breeding thoroughbreds like these. Not the traditional courage of the Spanish bullring, with all its colour and drama. And the intoxication isn't coming from sherry, for which the city of Jerez is the world capital. Now Jerez has a new meaning in the motor racing dictionary. This superb new track, carved out of the barren hillsides to be the venue of today's Spanish Grand Prix. And on pole position, it's round 2 in the championship, surprise, surprise, the black and gold Lotus number 12 of Ayrton Senna. He started from pole 3 weeks ago in Brazil, but finished 2nd behind Nelson Piquet's Williams. So that means he's currently 2nd in the championship with 6 points. Despite those 2 pole positions, he's got to do better today. The man who beat him in Brazil, Nelson Piquet, is alongside him on the front row with the clearly very, very competitive Williams Honda. And even though poor Frank Williams is still lying crippled in hospital after his road accident, the Williams team are obviously operating at the peak of their efficiency. Here's their other driver, Nigel Mansell, 3rd quickest in practice, still smarting over the accident he had after brushing wheels with Ayrton Senna in Brazil. He's made no secret of the fact that he regards Senna as being to blame for that incident. Here's the 4th man on the grid, Alain Prost, carrying number 1, of course, because he is the reigning world champion with the McLaren tag, and so far he hasn't scored this season. Alongside him is number 2, and that means it's the other McLaren, the newcomer to the red and white cars, Keke Rosberg, 5th fastest in practice, and another man still to score 1986 World Championship points. 6th on the grid, the man who spent all of last year resting from Formula 1 and then showed with that 4th place in Brazil that he's still a very quick man indeed. René Arnoux with the Renault-powered Ligier. The Ligier is still very competitive on their Pirelli tyres.
Mesdames, Mesdemoiselles, Messieurs, bonjour. C'est l'Andalousie qui vous salue. L'Andalousie un peu frigorifiée comme le reste de l'Europe en dépit de ces images qui ont été tournées, je présume, l'été dernier. L'Andalousie qui va accueillir pour la première fois de son histoire le Grand Prix d'Espagne de Formule 1 qui se disputera tout à l'heure ici à Jerez de la Frontera où nous nous trouvons. Hierès de la Frontera, une ville de 180 000 habitants qui se trouve à mi-distance à peu près entre le fameux rocher de Gibraltar et la frontière portugaise, à une quarantaine de kilomètres de Cadix et à une centaine de kilomètres de Séville, un endroit célèbre pour son cherry brandy et qui accueille, on l'a dit, pour la première fois depuis 5 ans, le Grand Prix d'Espagne de Formule 1 qui s'était déroulé la dernière fois en 1981 à Madrid-Jarama où on avait assisté à une mémorable et fantastique victoire de Gilles Villeneuve qui avait à l'époque battu Jacques Lafitte. Mais nous continuons à découvrir ces images d'Andalouse avant d'attaquer le sujet qui nous intéresse cet après-midi et dont nous nous rapprochons car le voici, ce circuit en forme de trèfle à 3 feuilles, ce circuit de Jerez, long de 4 km 218, un circuit, vous le constatez, qui est très sinueux, qui comporte une seule véritable rectiligne, un circuit assez bien élaboré, surtout pour le public, qui n'est pas extrêmement nombreux, en tout cas dans les tribunes, mais qui présente bien des inconvénients, bien des risques également pour les pilotes, car cette piste très sinueuse manque par endroits de dégagement. Les dépassements sont très difficiles et il faut dire que les pilotes appréhendent quelque peu, surtout les premiers tours, le départ bien sûr et surtout les premiers tours. On pense que les luttes seront âpres car les freinages sont très nombreux. Il y a 16 virages, 10 à droite, 6 à gauche et les boîtes de vitesse seront mises particulièrement à contribution avec un total de 24 changements par tour, soit 1728 changements de vitesse. On n'est pas loin de Monaco, mais un circuit tout de même qui a été conçu et réalisé assez rapidement, de façon, on peut dire, remarquable, même si l'organisation pêche encore par beaucoup d'imprécisions et de carences. Mais tout de même, ce Grand Prix va pouvoir se disputer dans des conditions que l'on peut d'ores et déjà taxer de normales, sous un soleil super, mais par un vent glacial également, puisque pour la petite histoire, ce matin, lorsque j'ai quitté mon hôtel qui est situé au bord de la mer, il n'a pas fallu racler, comme l'on dit, le pare-brise de ma voiture, mais tout de même, celui-ci était recouvert d'une mince couche de givre. C'est-à-dire que même ici, tout au sud de l'Espagne, il fait froid, il fait très froid. Et ce qui du reste n'a pas empêché Ayrton Senna da Silva, que vous voyez ici, d'obtenir sa deuxième pole position consécutive de la saison, la troisième consécutive si on tient compte de celle du Grand Prix d'Australie l'an dernier, la 9e de sa carrière en 32 Grands Prix et surtout la 100e pole position d'une Lotus en 350 Grands Prix. La première pole de Lotus avait été remportée obtenue en 1960 par Stirling Moss à Monaco. Ici, Nelson Piquet, c'est comme à Rio il y a 3 semaines, une première ligne parfaitement brésilienne avec la Lotus de Senna et la Williams de Nelson Piquet qui précède. Et là également, on retrouve également la configuration du départ du Grand Prix du Brésil de la semaine du mois dernier, pardon. On va trouver en deuxième ligne Nigel Mansell qui, alors lui, sera, le voilà, Nigel Mansell qui a été malheureux, mais aussi un peu imprudent il y a 3 semaines au Brésil où il a attaqué peut-être de façon un peu trop précipitée Ayrton Senna. Il aurait pu attendre un tour et le passer sans aucun problème. Nigel Mansell qui avait fait les frais de l'opération et qui aimerait bien prendre sa revanche aujourd'hui. Le public est tout de même nombreux, même si les tribunes sont vides. Il faut dire que les tribunes sont extrêmement chères pour cette région, ce sud de l'Espagne, qui n'est pas une région particulièrement riche. Et vous le voyez, Alain Prost, qui est déjà au volant de sa voiture, sa McLaren TAC Porsche, avec laquelle il établit le 4e temps de ses essais. Tandis que retentit l'hymne espagnol. Vous l'avez entendu, 3 minutes avant le tour de chauffe de ce Grand Prix d'Espagne, 16e Grand Prix d'Espagne comptant pour le championnat du monde, alors que Keke Rosberg, qui dispute aujourd'hui le 100e Grand Prix de sa carrière, une carrière marquée par 4 pole positions, 5 victoires, 3 meilleurs tours et surtout un titre mondial en 1982, Keke Rosberg s'installe au volant de sa McLaren TAC Porsche. Il a obtenu le 5e temps des essais. Il occupera donc la 3e ligne qu'il partagera avec René Arnoux, que voilà au volant de la Ligier Renault. René Arnoux qui a réussi et bien réussi son retour à la compétition après une année que l'on qualifiera de sabbatique pour ne pas revenir sur ce que nous considérons maintenant comme de l'histoire ancienne. Mais un retour réussi puisque Arnoux s'est classé 4e du Grand Prix du Brésil, derrière son coéquipier Jacques Lafitte, et qu'il est maintenant en 3e ligne, précédant ici Gerhard Berger, l'Autrichien, cette étoile autrichienne qui monte au volant de la Toleman BMW, lui qui n'a pas été très heureux ce matin lors du warm-up où l'on a vu les deux McLaren de Prost et de Rosberg réussir les meilleurs temps. Berger qui partage la 4e ligne avec Jacques Lafitte, le vétéran, au volant de la Ligier Renault numéro 26. 4e ligne donc pour Berger et Lafitte, qui précède la 2e Toleman, celle de Théo Fabi, que voilà. Toleman BMW numéro 19, avec à ses côtés Johnny Dumfries, que vous allez voir. Il s'agit d'un compte écossais. Donc il est vrai que les Écossais font facilement leur compte, mais ça c'est une autre histoire. Et on ne le voit pas, mais ça ne va pas tarder, car les voitures vont bientôt se lancer pour le tour de chauffe, bien qu'il reste encore passablement d'assistance de part et d'autre des voitures sur les lignes de départ. On continue donc l'énoncé de cette grille. Fabi Dumfries en 5e ligne, puis Johansson sur la Ferrari numéro 28 et Martin Brundle sur la Tyrrell Renault numéro 3, mais c'est l'ancienne Tyrrell car la nouvelle a été démolie hier lors des entraînements. En 7e ligne, Alboreto von Spanien rechnet.
Ich glaube auf jeden Fall, weil der Kurs ein sehr schwieriger Kurs ist, die Punkte überholen. Und ich glaube nicht, dass heute die Top-Teams überhaupt Reifen wechseln müssen. Die schnellen Autos fahren alle mit dem B-Compound, das ist ein relativ harter. Und die Fahrer glauben alle, dass sie eigentlich volles Rohr das Rennen durchfahren können, ohne auf die Reifen achten zu müssen. Mit dem Sprit, wenn es so ist wie heute früh, glaube ich auch nicht, dass große Probleme sind, außer dass die Temperaturen jetzt in die Höhe gehen und der Kurs durch mehr Gummiabrieb schneller wird. Wenn der schneller wird, wird mehr Sprit verbraucht, dann müsste man wieder sparen.
Niki, ganz kurz eine Frage, während wir hinunterschauen auf die Autos am Start. Irgendwelche Sehnsucht nach dem Cockpit?
Eigentlich im Moment überhaupt nicht. Ich bin froh, dass ich hier oben stehe und mir das also auch wie ein Fernsehzuschauer anschauen kann. Mich juckt im Moment überhaupt nicht und ich bin eben sehr gespannt, wie dieses schwierige Rennen heute ausgehen wird.
Also ich freue mich schon auf diese 72 Runden mit Niki Lauda, der ja, vielleicht erinnern Sie sich noch, 1974 in Madrid-Carama, also auch in Spanien, den ersten Formel 1 Grand Prix seiner Karriere gewonnen hat. Und Ayrton Senna, der trainingsschnellste, führt das Feld jetzt in die Aufwärmrunde. 4,218 Kilometer lang, die Startzielgerade ist etwa 600 Meter lang. Hier wurden im Training Geschwindigkeiten bis zu 292 Kilometer pro Stunde gefahren. Ganz kurz die einzelnen Kurven. Die erste Kurve angebremst auf 290 Kilometer pro Stunde im Training, auf 270 jetzt wahrscheinlich im Rennen. Dritter Gang 150. Hier haben Sie Gerhard Berger und dann den anderen grünen Benetton von Theo Fabi. Nächste Rechtskurve, zweiter Gang 80. Sollten wir es langsam ins Bild bekommen. Dann voll 150, voll 220. Nächste Rechtskurve voll mit 230.
Die Belastung heute wird irrsinnig stark sein, besonders am Start, weil jeder weiß, ein guter Start kann hier das Rennen gewinnen, weil man wahnsinnig schwierig überholen kann. Man kann die Strecke so mit Monte Carlo vergleichen, wo es wahnsinnig schwer ist vorzukommen. Deswegen sind die Fahrer jetzt sehr stark belastet in dieser ersten Phase.
Vierter Gang 170, dann vierter Gang 130, dann die Schikane, dann haben wir eine Spitzkehre, zweiter Gang mit 80 Kilometer pro Stunde, dann im fünften Gang voll mit 220, fünfter Gang 200, dann zwei Kurven im vierten Gang. Dann
Let's join James Hunt and Murray Walker in Spain.
Well, that is one of interest, but it would be a masterpiece of overstatement to say that it was fighting its way into this Heret circuit. There is a surprisingly small crowd. Some people say the prices are too high. Others say that the circuit is in an inconvenient place. Others say that there hasn't been enough publicity. But whatever, I have no doubt that they're going to miss a very intriguing race, because you see Ayrton Senna coming up to occupy his pole position slot for the second time this year in two races, the 9th time in his career, and very significantly, as in Brazil, he's going to have alongside him, slightly behind him actually, Nelson Piquet in the Williams, and Nigel Mansell is in third position on the starting grid, and there is absolutely no love whatsoever now lost between Mansell and Senna, both of whom blame the other for Mansell's going off in Brazil. Well, who was responsible is anybody's guess. But it's going to be a very fraught start to the Spanish Grand Prix. They go up a short hill on this very, very short straight, which is only half a kilometre long, into a very tight right-hand bend, turn 1, that's uphill turn, and then they start falling away. So the sprint up to the first corner is going to be absolutely crucial. In the front, in the yellow helmet, in the black and gold car, Ayrton Senna. To the right of your picture, next to him, Nelson Piquet, then Mansell, Prost, Rosberg, and Arnoux in sixth position on the grid. Tremendous tension here, watching for the lights. Senna creeping a little, but he's got away well. Senna leads. Piquet second, Mansell in third position, then the two McLarens behind. Senna is leading into turn 1, away to turn 2, and there's a bit of car flying away. Looks like one of the Benettons has lost part of the car already. Now they're coming down towards turn 3 and into our sight, tremendously fast, and it's Senna, then it's Piquet second, Mansell third, Prost and Rosberg. Then the two Ligiers of Arnoux and Jacques Lafitte. And so, a very good start for Senna.
Yes, good clean start pretty much throughout the grid. There was just that little touching incident at the first corner. One of the arrows' wings went up in the air. We couldn't see exactly who was damaged. It looked like a front wing, so somebody's going to have a bit of understeer loose grip at the front. And one of the problems with this circuit is going to be overtaking. It's a very busy sort of track. It's windy and twisty, and they don't really get any good straights and any chance to get up to top speed. It's a low top speed, although it's got a lot of fairly quick corners.
Lap 1, there is the race leader, Ayrton Senna. And there in the pits already is Alessandro Nannini in the Morini car. So, Senna, Piquet behind him in second place, coming through to complete the first lap, up the short straight, and it's Senna, Piquet, Mansell, Rosberg, Prost, Arnoux, Lafitte, and Alan Jones out of the race already. Before the first lap has even finished, Alan Jones in the Haas Lola is out, and it looks to me as though Keke Rosberg is challenging Nigel Mansell, and he has. Mansell is up into third position.
Yes, Rosberg is charging, as he always does, and we saw as they came past the pit, Mansell was moved over to the right of the circuit to block Rosberg for attacking him down the inside, but Rosberg got it together and took him out of turn one and into turn two.
So, with Jonathan Palmer now stationary on the circuit, which is a tragedy because he was going extremely well in practice. There is Theo Farby into the pit. My goodness, this is tremendously interesting because already 3 cars are in trouble, and at the end of the first lap, it's Ayrton Senna in the lead. Piquet second, Mansell third, Rosberg fourth, Prost fifth, and Arnoux sixth.
Yes, that must have been Farby whose front wing came adrift at the first corner, and I suspect he was in for a nose cone, and that was Rosberg challenging Piquet.
And you saw Jonathan Palmer's car being pushed away. Now, let's just maturely consider what's happening. Keke Rosberg, in only his second race for McLaren, is getting the feel of this new car. Last year and previous years, he's been driving for Williams. The balance of the McLaren is very different, and Rosberg is mastering it. So it's Piquet second at the end of lap 2, then it's Rosberg. Down to 4th position goes Mansell, 5th is Prost, 6th is Arnoux in the Ligier on its Pirelli tyres, and in 7th position it is Jacques Lafitte, the veteran Frenchman, and there he is. So Senna leads. And you can see this circuit, very, very good grip. All the Goodyear tyred runners are on B compound tyres. The Pirelli runners are on a mixture of 3 and 4, which is hard and soft, and we're expecting the Ligier certainly to stop. We're not necessarily expecting any of the others to stop. So Senna, Piquet, Rosberg.
It looks to me as if Piquet and Rosberg are both beginning to put pressure on Senna. They're hard on his heels, and I suspect they're going to be looking for a way around. Rosberg is really charging at the moment. He's looking for opportunities all around the track.
In 9th position, it's Johnny Dumfries in the second of the 2 Lotus cars. Martin Brundle is in 12th position. You have seen that Jonathan Palmer has already come into the pit, and that was one of the Minardis, De Cesaris. So De Cesaris and Nannini in the 2 Minardis are in trouble right at the beginning of the race. This is lap 3. Coming through to complete it. Senna, Piquet, Rosberg, Mansell, Prost, Arnoux, Lafitte. That's the first 7. Then there's a gap. And it's Johansson in 8th position in the Ferrari. 9th is Michele Alboreto. Then another long gap. It's Berger 10th now, and he's passed Johnny Dumfries, who is in 11th position. So Dumfries has slipped down a couple of places. What terrific action at the front. Senna. Nigel Mansell, of course, has gone further in a Grand Prix in 1986 here at Hierro than he has before, because he went out on the first lap in Brazil. And Ayrton Senna, who, by the way, has got the new V6 Renault engine with the pneumatically operated valve system. It'll rev up to 13,000 RPM. It proved to be very reliable in Brazil in 6 out of the first 9 places powered by those Renault engines. And Senna now is controlling things from the front. And if you watch very carefully, you will see he is easing away just a little from Nelson Piquet, who may well be watching points. This race on 195 litres of fuel is, as ever, going to come down in the end to who goes furthest, fastest on the fuel that he has. All the drivers have got digital fuel readouts in front of them, and they have to watch them very carefully in the closing stages of the race. This is lap 4, and it's still Senna leading, Piquet second, Rosberg in 3rd position. In 4th position, Nigel Mansell. 5th is Prost, 6th is Arnoux, 7th is Lafitte. And then Johansson in 8th position with Alboreto in 9th place. Watch for the Scarlet Ferraris.
And very much as we predicted and hoped for, we've got a really close, evenly matched battle up the front. I think that Senna's under a little pressure from Piquet and Rosberg. Prost is now just beginning to put pressure on Mansell. He's been, I think, playing a fairly relaxed role, sitting at the back of the leading group there, on the back in 5th place, but the Ligiers are now coming up to him, so it's time for Prost to start contemplating making his move. Remember, there's no point in going berserk in the early stages, the very early stages of a race such as this, because you wear both yourself and your machine out too much, and Frost tends to play a little bit of a waiting game and have a look round before he starts to make his move. And I think you'll find that Frost is going to start attacking Mansell as soon as possible.
Theo Farby has rejoined the race. Alan Jones is out. You saw his car parked, and he'll be on his way home, I expect, already. So Senna going through to complete the lap. Senna, PK, Rosberg, Mansell, Frost. I should think, I'm just checking on the stopwatch, the gap between first and fifth is 1.5 seconds at this stage of the race. That's how close it is. And Arnoux is starting to close a little on Frost.
Yes, Frost is definitely looking for a way around Mansell now. He had a little look coming up past the pits and up into turn 1. He then ducked out and had a look again into turn 2, so he's beginning to get impatient.
Lotus leads, Williams second, McLaren third, Williams fourth, McLaren fifth. That was Jonathan Palmer's car in the background, and sixth is the Ligier. What a tragedy for Jonathan Palmer, because he's worked so hard with the very capable Zach Speed team of Eric Zakowski, the man in Germany at Niedersachsen who's got this car together by himself, his own engine, gearbox, bodywork, everything. And Palmer qualified higher than he'd ever qualified before, went well in the warm-up, only to go out very early in the race. As Ayrton Senna leads, Johnny Dumfries is in 11th place. 2 places behind him is Martin Brundle. And Prost has moved up ahead of Nigel Mansell. There he is, behind his teammate Keke Rosberg. So Mansell goes down a place, and now René Arnoux will be looking for a way to catch Mansell. Senna, Piquet, Rosberg, Prost, Mansell is the order. Then Arnoux, then Lafitte, then Johansson, then Alboreto.
Senna's got a very tough race on his hands. The hardest place to be in a big battle like this, where the group right down your heels is in front. Senna's got all the pressure coming from behind. At the moment he's driving very smoothly. He's controlling things well, and Piquet doesn't as yet seem to have worked out where he's going to make his challenge. He's not really looking like overtaking him, but I'm quite sure that the possibilities and potentials for overtaking him are whizzing through his mind at the moment. Frost, as we expected, has clawed his way past Nigel Mansell. I think he'll find it more difficult now to attack his own teammate.
While we watch this great struggle for the lead, consider Martin Brundle in 13th place, a very chastened young man, because yesterday he turned out in the new 015 Tyrrell with the qualifying Renault engine for the first time. He had about 300 horsepower more than he'd ever had in his life before. He was on soft compound E qualifying tyres, and he lost the car. There's just very minor damage to the front suspension pickup, but it's too major to mend here, as a result of which Martin Brundle is out in the old car 015, which he says is a vastly inferior car to the new one. So the good news is that Tyrrell have definitely got a car that can take Martin Brundle up into the points this season. The bad news is that he isn't in it here. We are now on lap 8 out of 72. As you see, Farby is fastest so far, which is very interesting, with a lap at just over 1:30. And Farby's on the Italian Pirelli tyres. He's been into the pit to make a pit stop to have his wing repaired, and he's charging to try and get into the points. And as you look at the background of this circuit, you can see what I meant when I said earlier on that Spain is not exactly fighting its way into this Hierez circuit to watch the Spanish Grand Prix for a variety of reasons, ascribed to prices too high, ascribed to not enough publicity, ascribed to a long way to the circuit. But for whatever reason, the anticipated 100,000 crowd is most certainly not here as Senna continues to lead.
Yes, really a great shame that, because the circuit is absolutely beautiful. They have done an outstanding job in putting the whole thing together. It's a natural amphitheatre. It's got nice hills, it's up and down, the grandstands are well placed, and you really get a very good view here as a spectator. So I hope that at least Spain, the rest of Spain who are watching it on TV will see what a good circuit it is and come in the future, because it really is a shame for such a beautiful facility to be so empty. Senna looking very smooth and composed in front. He's not coming under a lot of pressure from Piquet, other than the fact that Piquet is pretty close behind him. He's not challenging particularly at the moment. And the two McLarens, who were very, very quick in the warm-up this morning, as expected, look as if they're ready to pounce on any mistake, and I suspect that they have something in hand if they're able to get past. We're not expecting any pit stops from the tires for the Goodyear runners. They're running a surprisingly hard compound here, considering that it's a fairly unabrasive track, not offering a great deal of grip, and they expect to go the distance. The Pirelli tired cars are in a little bit more of a dilemma. The Ligiers think they may have to stop, and there is
Riccardo Patrese out in the Brabham. That's the new low-line Brabham, and there's a lot of ill feeling about that too, because it is definitely short of power, and some 200 horsepower short of power, and there's a certain amount of dissension between BMW and the gearbox manufacturer as to whether that shortage of power is coming from the BMW engine or from the Weissman gearbox. But for whatever reason, Brabham have been pretty well off the pace. De Angelis qualified in the warm-up in 7th position, but he was well below that to start the race, and now Riccardo Patrese is out of it, as is Jonathan Palmer and Alan Jones. We are now on lap 10. You are looking at the leader, Ayrton Senna, one of the youngest men in the race, only 26 years old, and there is the Lola Haas of Alan Jones as Senna leads, and into the pits comes Patrick Tambay. Patrick Tambay into the pit, so that's the second Lola Haas. We can see him, you can't, that's Jones's car in the background, but now you can see him, because that is Patrick Tambay in the Lola Haas with its Hart engine, and in Imola for the San Marino Grand Prix, the Lola Haas cars are going to be using the new Ford V6 turbo engine, and Senna continues to lead. Piquet second, Rosberg third, Prost is fourth, Mansell is fifth, and Arnoux is sixth.
Yes, and I think Rosberg is going to start looking for a way around Piquet. It'll be a difficult search, this circuit. The big problem, and there's Tambay again in the pits. They're working on the front end of the car. They got the nose off, so it looks to be reasonably serious, whatever it is. But the big problem with the circuit is that overtaking between evenly matched cars has proved very difficult indeed. So overtaking maneuvers are going to have to be thought out and worked out really carefully. But I would think you see the two McLarens pressuring Piquet, with Senna with a little bit of breathing space. That's probably the biggest bit of breathing space he's enjoyed throughout the race. And again, a little bit of a gap back to Nigel Mansell, but really very evenly matched indeed between the first 7 cars.
Yes, 1.9 seconds between the leader and the fourth car, which is the one you're looking at now, Alain Prost. Then there's a gap, and then Nigel Mansell, Arnoux and Lafitte in respectively the Williams-Ligier cars, virtually together, about a second behind the battle for first position, which you're looking at. Now, as James said, provided Ayrton Senna drives smoothly and sensibly, which he always does, he's going to be very difficult to pass. There's only one real passing place on this circuit, which they're approaching now, and that is turn 1, this right-hander. If you're close enough, which Piquet isn't, you can get through there. But otherwise, very, very difficult, if not almost impossible, to pass. We'll see. looking down at Ayrton Senna in the Lotus with its Renault engine. There's Piquet second, Rosberg third, Prost fourth, Mansell fifth, Arnoux sixth, Jacques Lafitte seventh. In eighth position is still Stefan Johansson, ninth Alboreto, 10th Berger, 11th Dumfries, Brundle is up into 12th place, Boutsen is 13th, Stura is 14th, Streff is 15th, De Angelis is 16th, Ginzani 17th, Fabi, who stopped, is in 19th place, Christian Danner is 19th and Patrese is 20th. Fastest lap so far, Theo Fabi 1:30.01. And somebody has gone off on the hairpin. It looks, Mansell's now fastest. We're trying to, there's the car that's gone off. It's a Ferrari, I can tell you that, but I can't, it looks like Alboreto who's collapsing. I think it's Michele Alboreto, but I mustn't say that for sure, because I couldn't see any better than you could. But whoever it is has collapsed by the side of the car. Alboreto's got a bad cold, so if it's him, maybe it's associated with that in some way, although I doubt it. Completing a lap, well, there is the Ferrari. And that looks like bad news. I wish they could get him. They are getting him on a stretcher into safety behind the tyre wall there. And we will identify for you for certain that it was Alboreto. They're coming through to go past us now. I'm looking out of the box as I talk to you. There's Senna, Mansell, Rosberg, Prost, and here's the Ferrari coming towards me, which I will identify, and it's Michele Alboreto who's gone past me, so it's Stefan Johansson, unfortunately, that's gone off, and who I suspect has got an injured leg, and that is a guess. So, lap 13, and you can see that Nigel Mansell is starting to gain as Ayrton Senna smoothly drives on his way in this 72-lap race, and we look across at the unfortunate Stefan Johansson being loaded into the ambulance, and that's good marks to the Spanish for their medical services. The medical men were on Johansson virtually as he got out of the car. They've got an ambulance parked in the gap in the concrete barrier, and they're loading him up into it now. So Stefan Johansson out, as is Tombe, as is Riccardo Patrese, Jonathan Palmer and Alan Jones. Senna coming through to complete the lap. So at the end of the lap, there they are, Senna leading, Piquet second, Rosberg third, Prost is fourth, Mansell is fifth, Arnoux is sixth, and there is Jacques Lafitte in seventh place.
Yes, we do really seem to have a little bit of a stalemate up front. The only overtaking we've seen all race has been Nigel Mansell has been bumped twice by once by each McLaren. Rosberg first got past him, and then Prost followed a few laps later into the race. But really, the cars are so evenly matched, it's becoming a little bit of a race of attrition, and it's going to be a race of patience for the drivers and searching for opportunity. And also, when you're in a situation like this, the vital thing is to make no mistakes, not to miss a gear, not to run wide in the corner. It's more important to keep it steady than to be fast in this situation, because one little slip, a missed gear or something like that, and the opposition pops by you, and it takes an awful lot of time to try and regain that pace. So Senna has a little bit more comfort now than he had 5 or 6 laps ago. He's got just enough breathing space to concentrate on where he's going rather than in his mirrors, which when you've got the opposition breathing right down your neck, you tend to look backwards at least as much as you look forwards. And these first 6 cars are really concertinaed up.
This takes me back to the 1981 Spanish Grand Prix at Jarama, certainly the closest finish I've ever seen, when the great Gilles Villeneuve won in a Ferrari, and 1.24 seconds covered the first 5 home, and one of the first 5 home in that race in 1981 is in this snake for the lead now. Jacques Lafitte finished second in 1981. He's 7th in this race, but could well move up, and we are on lap 15. Ayrton Senna has now got a lead of, well, just a whisker under a second, I would say, from Nelson Piquet in second place in the Williams. There, the leader, Senna, of course, in the Lotus with its Renault engine. Then the two McLaren. Keke Rosberg ahead of his teammate, reigning world champion Alain Prost. Nigel Mansell in 5th position. René Arnoux 6th, Jacques Lafitte 7th. Alboreto in 8th position, and his teammate Johansson on his way to the circuit hospital. You just saw a flash of it in the background there. In 9th position, Berger in the Benetton. Johnny Dumfries going well in the second of the Lotus cars. In 10th place, as the leaders go through, complete another lap up to turn 1, uphill turn, which is a 90-mile-an-hour second-gear corner. Now down to turn 2, another 90-mile-an-hour. And here is the ambulance arriving at the circuit hospital. Up goes the rear door. There goes Senna. Now he's into the sweepers, which is one of the fastest parts of this circuit, between turns 4, 5 and 6, and they're doing about 145 miles an hour. On towards the S's, and there goes the stretcher into the circuit hospital. And if we get to know anything, of course we will let you know immediately, as race leader Ayrton Senna goes up to one of the slowest corners on the circuit, turn 9, which is a second gear, 90-mile-an-hour right-hander. He's out of that now, through turn 10. This is turn 11, about 145 miles an hour. Up to Bullfighter Bend, turn 12, which is where Alan Jones went off in the background. Now turn 13, that's about 120 miles an hour. Keke Rosberg fastest, 129.78. So Rosberg in the McLaren. Got an interesting situation there, because in second place, Nelson Piquet is in a Williams, and Rosberg drove for Williams last year. In third position is the McLaren of Keke Rosberg, who, as I say, drove for Williams. So two drivers in new teams are in second and third places until the battle royal continues, with very little time covering the first 7. Senna. Piquet. There he is. Rosberg and Prost together. Mansell still in 5th position. Arnoux and Lafitte close together. That was Christian Danner, number 22, the very amiable, lanky German who is in the Osella with the V8 Alfa Romeo engine, eagerly looking forward to San Marino, because there he's going to have the much newer Motori Moderni engine, which powers the Minardi. There's Danner. Not a terribly happy young man, actually. Oh, the Formula 3000 champion of Europe of 1985, Christian Danner, is retiring. And Elio De Angelis is in the pits as well. In fact, he's just leaving the pits. They may show us De Angelis leaving. So the Brabhams have got real trouble in Spain. Patrese is out of the race. De Angelis has been into the pits. Out of the race now on lap 18, as you saw, De Angelis. Alan Jones is retired. Jonathan Palmer is retired. Patrese is out. Colbe is out. Johansson is out. And Senna's passed. Passing. He's lapping De Angelis. That was Elio De Angelis.
De Angelis was a bit remiss there. I don't think he saw the leaders bearing down on him. He'd come out of the pit, and he carved Senna up a bit. Senna was being pretty forceful and had to take to the earth on the inside, but all was well, and he suffered nothing for it. De Angelis then realised it, and there we see it again. We just see, well, that's the end of the incident, but it was really at the beginning of the corner where I don't think De Angelis saw them, which was a mistake, because he should be looking in his mirrors when he's just come out of the pit, and he was taken by surprise, and Senna had to take evasive action, but as I say, all is well.
Lap 18 now. Leader, Senna, there's the world champion, Alain Prost. No, there's Rosberg. I'm sorry, they're very... I have to tell you an identifying trick on these two cars, which I missed myself there. Because Rosberg and Prost, with their very similar helmets, look so alike, the very helpful McLaren team have fitted Prost's cars with red mirrors and Rosberg's car with white mirrors. So if you're in doubt, look for that. Now you can see that Senna is easing away a little. The gap now, Senna is 1.3 seconds ahead of Nelson Piquet, who's got Keke Rosberg just behind him in third position, who's got Alain Prost just behind him in fourth. Mansell is still fifth, Arnoux is still sixth, Lafitte is still seventh, Alboreto is eighth, Berger is ninth. Then the two British drivers, Brundle and Dumfries, as we look at a replay of Nigel Mansell there, getting past the McLaren. Now, let's pick up the action. Yes, he's ahead of Alain Prost. So Nigel Mansell, with that passing move on lap 19 out of 72, is up to fourth position. The two Williams cars of Piquet and Mansell are now second and fourth. Senna there, the leader. Seemingly invulnerable at the moment. He shouldn't have trouble with his Renault engine. It's very reliable. As I said earlier on, he's got the pneumatically operated valves, which is an extra reliability factor. And Nigel Mansell is really charging now because he's pulling away from Prost, who's down to fifth position, and gaining on Keke Rosberg, who is in third place. In fact, look at them come up towards turn one. There's the leader, Senna, behind him Piquet. And they've moved away, but Mansell is closer than ever to Keke Rosberg. There they are, with Prost down in fifth place.
Yes, Mansell, having regained the fourth place that he lost earlier in the race to Prost, is really charging now. He's got the bit between his feet. He's having a look at Rosberg then. There we see Rosberg. Still in a McLaren sandwich. And the cars really are very easily matched, but I would think that the following drivers are getting a little bit impatient now because Senna is just beginning to edge away from Nelson Piquet, and so that will make the people behind Nelson Piquet, namely Rosberg, Mansell and Prost, a bit impatient to get past him so that they can keep, so as not to let Senna get away.
Yes, I'm interested too in the Ligiers because neither Arnoux nor Lafitte in the blue Ligiers in 6th and 7th places seem to be making any progress. And if, as we understand, they're going to come in for a tyre change later in the race, that is going to push them further down. Piquet goes through. Rosberg, Mansell and Prost very close to each other. And Dumfries and Brundle are very close. You can't see it, but there's only about a second now between Dumfries in 10th position in the Lotus and Brundle in the Tyrrell in 11th position. Race order. Lap 21. Senna, Piquet, Rosberg, Mansell, Prost, Arnoux, the first six. 7th Lafitte, 8th Alboreto, 9th Berger, 10th Dumfries, 11th Brundle and 12th Boutsen. 13th Sura, 14th Straff, and in 15th position Theo Fabi, who is indeed charging up through the field in his three-winged Benetton. There's Arnoux in 6th position. But what a scrap between Rosberg, Mansell and Prost. Now, the race at the moment is tending to favour Ayrton Senna, and here is why. He's got nearly a 2-second cushion between himself and Nelson Piquet now. Piquet, on the other hand, is very close indeed to Keke Rosberg, and Patrick Tambay there is back in the race in his Lola Haas. And then there is this battle between Rosberg, Mansell and Prost. Now, they're going to start getting in each other's way, which will give Senna a chance. You can see how close they are, give Senna a chance to pull away. Senna's coming up now to lap Patrick Tambay in the red Lola Haas. Tambay wearing the blue helmet is being caught by race leader Senna, And if he doesn't move over and let Senna through, it's going to give Piquet a chance to close up on the Brazilian Lotus. It's going to give Rosberg a chance to catch Piquet. Everything is going to get a lot closer than it is at this moment. Watch very carefully.
Yes, in a tight race like this, a back marker who is not being helpful gives the cars behind, but there is Tombe. He's moved over. He's seen Senna, he's let him through. A little bit of puff of smoke there. He just locked his right front brake as he started to turn into the corner, making the right front wheel a little bit light. No problem. Won't have damaged the tyre off that, spotted it. And now you see Tombe moving over for the overhead shot, letting Piquet through. So he in fact hasn't caused any excitement. Just a replay here, or that was a replay of Senna going past him. But it is a problem when you're leading and you've got a big bunch behind you. When you start lapping the back markers, the advantage is very definitely for the people behind, because if the back marker messes things around, if you're leading, the only thing that can happen to you, if it's not good, is that you can lose places. And of course the following drivers will be watching very carefully and trying to grab any opportunity that is given once they get amongst the back markers. Now, Senna has lost a bit of that lead and Piquet's closed up a bit. So the first 5 cars, once again, are getting close to nose to tail.
And I have some good news. I promised I would let you know about Johansson as soon as I knew myself. We've had a message from the hospital to say that he is not badly hurt. He's having some problems with breathing, and that's presumably because he made contact with the car when it stopped so suddenly. But I'm only guessing. But as I say, the news from the hospital is that Johansson is not badly hurt. Now, look at Senna. Piquet, Rosberg, Mansell, Prost, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. And the gap is 3.5 seconds. That's all between first and fifth on lap 23 out of 72 on this new circuit at Hierro, the Spanish Grand Prix, first that's been held since 1981. And it's turning out at the moment to be just as good as the 1981 one was. And Martin Brundle has passed Johnny Dumfries up into 10th position. That looks like a Tyrrell to me. It's Philippe Streff, I think. Yes, it's Streff. Philippe Streff, the Frenchman who last year drove for Ligier and for Tyrrell, and who finished third in the Australian Grand Prix at Adelaide, just behind his teammate Jacques Lafitte. Apparently out of the race in his Ligier, in his Tyrrell, but it's still Senna, this amazingly calm, cool and controlled young man who of course has been driving for a very long time now in some kind of car competition or another, because he started off in karts. There's the Alboretto's car, the tyre change. Now Michele Alboretto started this race in the Ferrari, as far as tyres are concerned, with 4B compound tyres. Those are fairly hard. They're not the softest. C are the softest race tyres. So already Alboretto has had to come in for tyres. We didn't expect anybody on that type of tyre to be coming in, but Alboretto has, which means to say that others may have to as well. The circuit, of course, is a lot warmer now than it was in the half-hour final practicing session this morning, which was held at 9:30. And as they go across the line, the gap between the first and the fifth is 3.15 seconds.
I think Alboretto may have a problem greater than tyres. He's been in the pits too long, and although they've changed the tyres, which they do as a routine operation, they seem to be doing something else to the car. They're a bit of a long way from where we are, so I can't see exactly what they're doing, but he's still in the pits, so he's got a problem of some sort, and it's more than just his tyres. But still up at the front, we look at Ayrton Senna, the battle is really raging.
Arnoux into the pit, lap 25, and with Ayrton Senna leading, as you look at Streff's car parked, into the pit has come René Arnoux, and it does not appear to be only for a tyre change. I wish they let you have a look at him, but I can tell you that Arnoux, who was in 6th position, is still stationary in the pit. Yes, they are changing the wheels and tyres. They do that anyway, but meantime the engine cover of his V6 Renault engine is being lifted. Jacques Lafitte's his teammate, the oldest man and the most experienced man in the race, has now moved up into the World Championship points into 6th position, and there is René Arnoux, who was fired by Ferrari last year after the first race of 1985 in Brazil, and who came back to Grand Prix racing this year at Brazil to take an excellent place in 4th position. And now he's lost his chance of getting World Championship points here in Spain unless something very interesting happens. Lap 26. You can see the order. There's Senna in the lead. Behind him, Nelson Piquet. 3rd, Keke Rosberg. 4th, Nigel Mansell. There he is. 5th, that's Ross. Then there's a gap now of about 9 seconds between 5th and 6th. That's to say Prost and Lafitte. 7th is Berger. Up to 8th position has come Martin Brundle. 9th is Johnny Dumfries. And in 10th position is Boutsen. 11th and 12th, Sura and Fabi. And there's still a long way to go in the Spanish Grand Prix. Senna leading. Well, Senna put in an absolutely electrifying lap in practice. Nigel Mansell, 1:29.15, fastest on the circuit, and there he is as we hear that. That's the leader. Senna absolutely electrified everybody in practice on Friday when he went round in 1:21.6. That's 116 miles an hour, 186 kilometres an hour. And he was about 1.5 seconds faster than anyone else. And he just sat out practice, the last qualifying practice on Saturday, until the last quarter of an hour. Then he got into his car, did a few laps, and during the course of those laps became the fastest of that day and also the second fastest. Alboreto's problem, by the way, when he came into the pit was brakes. So Michele Alboreto, who slipped down through the places and is now in 15th place, and Ferrari have got another sad, bad race to recollect when they go home to Italy from Spain to get ready for the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola in a fortnight's time. And they'll be wanting to do well there. Now, Senna speeding up, 1:29.069. So we've had Keke Rosberg fastest, then Nigel Mansell, now Ayrton Senna. And the race leader has decided, I guess, that he'd better try and build up a bit of a cushion between himself and Piquet in second place.
Yes, well, for sure. Senna has enough space now that he can, in fact, although it's not a comfortably big space, but he can, in fact, concentrate on where he's going because he doesn't have to cover his rear. Piquet's not close enough to him to challenge immediately, although Rosberg is getting quite close to Piquet and looking to be in a challenging position, and that, of course, will slightly inhibit Piquet's pursuit, and that is Arnoux still in the pit in the Ligier. Obviously it's in terminal trouble, he's been there some time. But Senna, of course, the whole race is speeding up anyway because the fuel loads are coming down and the cars get appreciably lighter, which makes them improve their performance as they go along. But I would think that the two McLaren drivers, who I suspect have a little bit in hand, but they're stuck in the traffic up at the front there, will be beginning to get a bit of frustration now. Prost is, in fact, Mansell very much sandwiched between the two McLarens.
3.3 seconds separating the first 5, and then there's long gaps to the rest of them. Fortunately for us, all of us, the action is very much at the front. If you see those numbers appearing at the bottom of your screen again, the 12V was 12 Volta, that's the number of laps, and then the numbers of the cars in their positions. Thus, number 12, Ayrton Senna, there he is leading, followed by the second place man, number 6, Nelson Piquet. Across the line they go, still Piquet second, Rosberg third, and the gap is about the same. And Senna and the rest of them are going to have the problem of coping with getting past the back markers. And as I said before, I'll say again that this is where places could potentially change if the back markers are not alive to the situation behind them, watching their mirrors and being cooperative to move over. And although some of the drivers would deny it, in fact I suspect they'd all deny it, sometimes if you see the wrong bloke coming up in your mirrors, you're not going to be too helpful about letting him pass. And you can make it difficult as you look at the arrows and Theo Fabi in the green Benetton being passed by Ayrton Senna. So Senna's had no trouble with little Theo Fabi, very successful businessman as well as racing driver. Runs a big talc factory in Italy, Theo Fabi. So now he's closing up on Mark Fura, the Swiss driver in the BMW powered arrows. There he is, there's Fura, who drove last year for Brabham. Well, nobody's passed Fabi, and Senna, this is where Senna ought to be able to get past Fura, who does move over and let him through. And Piquet's passed Fabi. Now Rosberg is past Fabi, and Prost is up there too.
Yes, and Mansell, in all the excitement with the back marker, I think Mansell managed to slip past Rosberg then. Let's just have a look and see as they settle down. Here we have a replay of them coming up the straight, and you'll see Fabi's moved over to left. Oh, well, we lost it. But Nigel Mansell has moved up into third place. So the two of guys have been pushed back down to fourth and fifth, and I imagine that they will be responding to that.
Check. I've just looked out of the back window, and you can see for yourself Nigel Mansell ahead of both the McLarens now, and the race order on this, the 30th lap out of 72, the leader that you're looking at, Ayrton Senna in the Lotus Renault. Second, Nelson Piquet. Third now, Nigel Mansell. Fourth now, Keke Rosberg in the McLaren. Fifth is Alain Prost. Sixth and some 10 seconds behind fifth place man Prost is Jacques Lafitte. Seventh is Berger. Eighth is Brundle, getting very close to the World Championship point, redeeming himself after yesterday. Ninth is Johnny Dumfries, the other British driver in the race. 10th, Boutsen. 11th, Sura, who has been lapped. So everybody up to the 10th position man, Boutsen, has been lapped by Ayrton Senna after 30 laps. So we're getting pretty close to half distance, which is 36 laps.
And Nelson Piquet seems to have slowed down. Just have a look for him. Senna has pulled away a bit. And are we going to see Nigel Mansell emerging ahead of him? We think that Piquet may be in a little bit of trouble. He seems to be fishing for gears. Well, there are the two Williamses right together, and Piquet certainly has dropped back a bit. He's dropped back to Nigel Mansell. He seems to be fumbling for gears just now.
I will tell you this, if Piquet is in trouble and Mansell gets past him, it will be like, and this is the right place to do it, showing a red rag to a bull, because if Nigel Mansell knows that ahead of him in the lead, and Mansell is in second place, is Ayrton Senna, that will be just the incentive that the gritty man from the Isle of Man needs to get his foot even further down. Now the gap between Senna and Mansell now, who's still in third position, is 2.93 seconds. Because as I said earlier on, Ayrton Senna is far from being Nigel Mansell's hero at the present moment. Now, there are the two Williams cars together. In second place, chasing the yellow helmeted Senna in the Lotus, is still Nelson Piquet, world champion of 1981 and 1983. That is Elio De Angelis in the low-line Brabham, and that is Thierry Boutsen in the Arrows, who was in 10th position. Arrows are not having a very good 1986 so far. Now, there are the two Williams cars together, looking down from the helicopter. Now, number 12, Senna in the lead. Number 6, Piquet second. Number 5, Mansell third. Number 2, Rosberg fourth. World champion number 1. Prost is in 5th position. 6th, number 26, Jacques Lafitte. 7th, number 20, Gerhard Berger. In 8th position, behind Gerhard Berger, is Martin Brundle. 9th is Dumfries. 10th is Boutsen. 11th is Dura. 12th is Farby. And here's the leader. Completing a lap. What did I say the gap was? 3.23 seconds. And watch Mansell and Piquet. It's down to 2.37 seconds. Mansell going through, taking second place and taking Nelson Piquet. Now the battle is well and truly on lap 33 out of 72, because Nigel Mansell and Piquet were closer to Ayrton Senna. They'd reduced the gap from just over 3 seconds to just over 2 seconds. Now, Nigel Mansell, watch this replay, is on his way.
Yes, good overtaking manoeuvre by Mansell. He got himself into position, and he's got alongside Piquet, holding the corner, didn't push through or do anything stupid, and now he just eases ahead because Piquet shut Piquet out. Piquet had nowhere to go, had to let him go through. And Nigel Mansell's really driving a very well-controlled race. He got pushed down from 3rd down to 5th in the early stages of the race, but he didn't panic, and he's taken his chances, and he's come back, and now he's fought right the way back into 2nd place, and he's set off after Ayrton Senna.
Patrick Colby in the pit. Lap 33, and Nigel Mansell's 2 superb victories last year, the European Grand Prix at Brands Hatch and the South African Grand Prix, have really rounded off his ability. He knows he can win now because he's done it twice. He knows that ahead of him is this man, number 12, Ayrton Senna. The gap was 2.37 seconds, and the gap now between Senna and Mansell, who is pulling away from Piquet in 3rd position, chased by Rosberg and Prost, is 2.17 seconds. Nigel Mansell is catching Ayrton Senna, the race leader, and he's got a long time to catch him, stay with him, study him, and then go for it. But Ayrton Senna is acknowledged to be the hardest man on a race circuit to pass, so it's going to be very, very interesting if the Williams catches the Lotus. 12.56. Senna, Mansell, Piquet, 2.126. Rosberg, Prost, and Lafitte.
But it does appear that Nelson Piquet is in some sort of minor trouble, because he's dropped back pretty quickly from Mansell as well, and he's now falling back towards the clutches of the McLarens. We think he may have some sort of gearbox trouble. He seems to be fishing for gears on a couple of occasions. Beyond that, we can't be sure. Whatever it is, it's minor, because although he's slowed, it's not dramatic. So the two McLarens will be looking for a way around Piquet next.
1.9 seconds is the gap between Senna and Mansell, coming up to complete lap 34. Mansell has got it down from 3.3 to 2.3, then to 1.9, and as they complete the lap, it's 1.6. Closer and closer, the Williams is getting to the Lotus. Together, almost, into turn 1. 110 miles an hour, down to the right-hander at turn 2, 90 miles an hour, 2nd gear, and the two McLarens absolutely together. Where is Piquet? There. Race order: Senna, Mansell, Piquet, Rosberg, Prost, Lafitte, Berger, Brundle, Dumfries, and then Sura, Farby, and Boutsen, who is 12th.
Nigel Mansell's really flying. He's catching, he's really caught Piquet and Senna quite quickly since he got past Nelson Piquet, and he's really got the bit between his teeth. This is tremendous stuff from Nigel Mansell.
Yeah, there's the other Lotus, that of Johnny Dumfries, who is in 9th position, only his 2nd Grand Prix. Drove superbly at Brazil and was in the points. Finished in 9th position because he had an electrical problem which took him into the pit. Now Tombe is being caught by Senna again, and once more the Frenchman in the Lola half is going to have to cooperate if Senna is not to be really caught by Nigel Mansell. Then the Frenchman will have to cooperate with Mansell in order to prevent the gap between Senna and himself. And Prost is through, past Rosberg. So now it's Senna leading, Mansell 2nd, Piquet 3rd, Prost is up to 4th, and Senna is past Tombe. Rosberg is down to 5th, and Jacques Lafitte is some way behind in the Ligier, but still in 6th place, still in World Championship points. And there's 7th passing Tombe, saw Mansell behind him, who's also got to get to grips with Patrick Tombe. There's Dumfries, who's now going to see his teammate coming up behind him. Are we going to see any team work here as Senna passes Dumfries and Nigel Mansell catches the Scotsman? 2 Lotuses.
And Dumfries behaving immaculately, like a junior should, making way for his teammate, and I imagine that he will make way for Nigel Mansell as well, although we can't quite see what's happening behind. And certainly he has done it. He must have let Mansell through, so that's well done, Johnny Dumfries. He's behaving absolutely correctly in letting us through. And we've got to watch out for Alain Prost now. He's just got past Rosberg for the first time in this race, and we can see if Prost has got any answer to the leading 2. He's still got Piquet in front of him. He's got Piquet to dispose of, and then he's got to set about trying to catch the leading pair. But things have certainly hotted up a bit. The race is getting quicker and quicker.
It certainly is, and on lap 37, the gap between the leaders is now, as you can see, less than a second. They are some 5 seconds ahead of Nelson Piquet, who's got Alain Prost right behind him, who's got Keke Rosberg right behind him, and Rosberg is some 8 seconds ahead of Jacques Lafitte, and only 14 seconds covers the first 6 after 36 laps. Track getting warmer and warmer. The wind, which was very high this morning, has died down. The flags, which were standing out from the flagpoles at 90 degrees, are now just waving limply on them. So, with that breeze removed, the track surface will be heating up, and so is the race. Nigel Mansell can see in front of him his rival, and Senna will see behind him his rival as they complete lap 37 up to turn 1.
And not only have they got those to tail, but Alain Prost is right on Keke Rosberg's tail, and you can just see over the background coming onto the pit straight then as we watched the 2 leaders turning into turn 1 to go off it.
Now, Senna, of course, has got a perfect race rhythm going, fastest man in practice by far, took the lead at the beginning of the race when the lights went to green, has been there in a comparatively untroubled state as there's a tyre change going on there and out of the pit. Jacques Lafitte, who was in 6th position, has made his anticipated pit stop. Now the gap between Lafitte and Berger was more than enough to enable Lafitte to have held his 6th position in spite of the tyre change. But if there's more tyre wear going on with the Lotus than the Williams, or vice versa, we're going to see this gap increase on lap 38 out of 72 between race leader Senna on the right, number 12, second place man Nigel Mansell. And if somebody had written a script for this race, they couldn't have written it better. The adrenaline will be flowing through Nigel Mansell's veins by the bucketful. Right up with Senna. Now they're closing up on Martin Brundle in the Tyrrell, who's in 8th position and is about to be lapped. He hasn't been lapped so far. Senna has lapped everybody up to Brundle, who is in 8th place, and he's going to do that shortly. Martin will need to move over because the Lotus and the Williams will go past him as one on lap 39. Now, at Brazil, it was a furious Nigel Mansell who alleged, René Arnoux now coming into the pit, it was a furious Nigel Mansell who alleged that Senna had slammed the door in his face at about 190 miles an hour on the long, long straight of the Jacara-Pagway circuit and taken him off. Senna, of course, would vigorously deny that, but anyway, as I've said before, and it bears saying again, Nigel Mansell and Senna are hardly bosom chums, and here they are, and you can see the distance between them on lap 39, battling for the lead in the Spanish Grand Prix. Nelson Piquet is now some 6 seconds behind them. Prost is 4th. Rosberg is 5th. Lafitte, who's been into the pits, is 6th. And look at the battle. Completing a lap. Now, Brundle has got to move over here, and Mansell is going through and taking the lead. Nigel Mansell has taken Ayrton Senna on lap 39 and taken the lead from the Brazilian with a superb manoeuvre. Now, Mansell has won in the France match, he won in South Africa, he could win again.
Yes, fabulous stuff. Mansell's really got the bit between his teeth. He worked his way back up from 5th place in the early stages. He'd been bumped down from 3rd on the first lap, and his patience is certainly paying off now. He's been very quick, and that is Nelson Piquet pulled up in a cloud of smoke. So that gives... Piquet was going slower and slower. He appears to be in some sort of trouble with the car, and that gives Prost a clear run. Now, Prost is in 3rd place, some 8 seconds, or 8.5 seconds behind Nigel Mansell, but this is the first time in the race that Prost will have had clear air in front of him. So we will have to wait and see for a couple of laps to see if Prost can do anything about the two leaders.
Now, with absolutely no disrespect to Nigel Mansell, as a disconsolate Nelson Piquet contemplates his broken Williams, I wonder whether there is some minor problem with Senna's car, because Mansell has closed the gap and is pulling away now, and the interesting thing is to see whether the new 3rd place man, Alain Prost, who was about 7.5 seconds behind Nigel Mansell when he was 2nd, is going to be gaining on Ayrton Senna, who is now 2nd. But all credit to Nigel Mansell, now leading a Grand Prix again in the Patrick Head designed Williams car with its V6 Honda engine, and this will be a marvellous psychological fillip for the team's owner and the man who started it off, Frank Williams, who is lying in London Hospital after his crash in a road car in France. He missed the Brazilian Grand Prix, he's missed this one, but now he will be seeing his man, Nigel Mansell, who Frank Williams recruited for the Williams team, having taken the lead and on his way at very nearly, in fact over half distance now. Joy and misery in a way, because Mansell leading and Piquet walking in. And René Arnoux is out of the race with a broken left-hand drive shaft. We saw Arnoux into the pit. So, out of the Spanish Grand Prix, Alan Jones, Jonathan Palmer, Stefan Johansson, who we understand from the hospital is all right, Christian Danner, Philippe Strass, Nelson Piquet, René Arnoux, In the second Ferrari, Michele Alboreto has been into the pits for a long, long time. And on lap 42, the race order, as you look at the leader, Nigel Mansell, is in second position, Ayrton Senna. Third, Cross, who is now 6 seconds behind Senna. Fourth is Rosberg, so both the McLarens in the World Championship points. Fifth is Jacques Lafitte. Sixth is Gerhard Berger, who finished in the points at Brazil, so he's going jolly well in the Benetton. Seventh now is Martin Brundle, only just out of the points, and he finished in the points at Brazil. Eighth is Johnny Dumfries, so we've got 3 British drivers in the top 8. Still some way to go. 5 Mansell leads, 12 Senna second, 1 Cross third, 2 Rosberg fourth, 26 Lafitte is 5th, number 20 Berger is 6th, and here's the lead. Nigel Mansell just slipping the apex of each bend, straightening it as much as possible, completing another lap, in fact completing his 42nd lap, and the gap now between Mansell and Senna is 3.9 seconds. The gap between Senna and Prost is 4.8 seconds. The gap between Prost and Rosberg, who is just going through, is 8.1 seconds, and it's a long way before Jacques Lafitte. So the first 4 or 5 are definitely getting spread out.
Yes, Prost is in fact catching Senna, but he is not catching Mansell overall. Nigel Mansell is now in front and appears to be going away from everybody. Prost has got Senna to deal with anyway before he can start to attack Mansell, so Mansell is looking very much in control of this race at the moment.
And Jacques Lafitte is into the pit. Jacques Lafitte, who was in 5th position. So that means to say that if he stays there for very long, Martin Brundle is again going to be in the points. And Jacques Lafitte has jumped out of the Ligier and out of the race. So up to 5th position goes Gerhard Berger, up to 6th place, and in the World Championship points in the old 014 Tyrrell goes Britain's Martin Brundle, who finished in 5th place in Brazil. Great stuff. Mansell leads. Lap 43. 30 laps to go. There's the gap. You see Mansell cross the white line. Now Senna crosses the white line. Now the gap 3.55 seconds. Mansell is pulling away, consolidating his lead. And Alain Prost, who scored no points at Brazil, as did his teammate Keke Rosberg, will be striving mightily to close the gap between himself and Mansell in front and Senna in front as well, because the world champion needs points. Brundle is coming into the pits. Sad news, unless it's just for a straightforward tyre change. I'm going to watch him as you watch Senna, and he waves his hand. He waves his hand across his face as he comes, and he points back at the car. So I suspect he's got a transmission problem. Martin Brundle is getting out of the car. As you watch Nigel Mansell, I can tell you that Martin Brundle's race is over, having just got into the World Championship points for the 2nd race in succession. But bad news for Brundle, good news for Johnny Dumfries, and there it is. As the caption comes up, it tells you that Scotsman Johnny Dumfries, in only his 2nd Grand Prix, is again in the points. He was in the points at Brazil, he's in the points again at Spain. And this will be for Dumfries a tremendous psychological fillip, because, as is well known, a lot of people expected, indeed hoped, that Derek Warwick would be occupying the 2nd seat in the Lotus team. That was denied him by the man you're looking at now, Ayrton Senna. Johnny Dumfries got it, and a lot of people regarded Dumfries as getting that seat by default. He proved, however, how good he was in Brazil, and he's proving it again. And I'll tell you that I think there's going to be a lot of surprises from Johnny Dumfries before this season is over. But meantime, Prost is charging. Prost, the world champion that you're looking at now, is catching Ayrton Senna. You're looking now at the developing battle for second place on lap 45 out of 73, with Nigel Mansell in the lead, with Ayrton Senna, who led for so long, in second place, being caught by world champion Alain Prost, number one, who has no less than 21 Grand Prix wins behind him. Piquet's problem was engine. The Honda engine of Nelson Piquet's Williams gave some sort of a problem. I don't know whether there was engine problem in terms of the piston, conrod and crankshaft bit or turbo, but for whatever reason, he's out. Now there's Nigel Mansell lapping the arrows.
And Prost has actually closed up a little bit on Mansell as well. Mansell went storming away in the lead. I suspect he may have just given it a bit of a tweak on his turbocharger boost for a couple of laps, because Prost was losing ground to him when he first passed Senna. He then held ground, and he now seems to be catching again, which makes me suspect that Mansell's playing with his boost on.
Now, there shouldn't be a fuel problem here. They've got their engine management systems mapped in order to ensure that the 195 litres should take them the full race distance at a profitable speed. And Mansell should be all right from that point of view. He's on his way to 9 points at the moment, which would give the Williams team 9 points and 18 in the Constructors' Championship. But McLaren, of course, with both cars in the top 6, are doing well. There's the leader, Nigel Mansell, lap 46, followed by Senna, now over 4 seconds behind the Flying Englishman. Alain Prost is only 3 seconds now behind Senna, in third place, Prost. But he's a long, long way ahead of Keke Rosberg, who is some 14 seconds behind Prost. Gerhard Berger in 5th place has been lapped. Johnny Dumfries, of course, has been lapped, also in 6th position. Theo Farby in the 2nd peloton, who came in to have his wing repaired, car wing repaired, is up to 7th position and could well finish in the points. Thierry Boutsen is 8th. And into the pits comes Gerhard Berger in 5th position. So if he stays there long, I'm going to watch as you watch Nigel Mansell. Berger has come in and taken on tires, and I'm waiting to see if Dumfries goes through, and he's done so. Johnny Dumfries is now in 5th position. Johnny Dumfries is up into 5th position, and as he went past the pits, Gerhard Berger came out. I'm sorry you can't see this, but it's important that you should know. Now, Nigel Mansell that you're looking at leads. Dumfries is in 5th position. Will he be able to keep it? And he's not going to stop, of course. But on the other hand, Gerhard Berger is on new tyres, new rubber, which will give him improved grip once he's got them up to race temperatures, which will take him perhaps a lap. So, as you look at Mansell on lap 47, and he's leading Senna by a little less than he did. Well, he's just gone through the lap, and I've started the stopwatch. The gap between Senna and Mansell and Senna is 4.17 seconds. The gap between Senna second and Prost third is 3 seconds. Mansell there, Senna there. There, you just caught a flash of Prost's McLaren. That gives you a good idea of what this Heret circuit is like. As you look at the first, second and third making their way up towards turn 12 and 13, which is furthest away from the point that we're talking to from. Mansell comes out of turn 14 down to the left-hander, almost through now to complete another lap. There's Senna. Now look for the red and white car of Prost, and there it is. If you've got a stopwatch and you're sitting at home, you could be taking the gaps yourselves Mansell, Senna, Prost, Rosberg, Dumfries, Berger, and Dumfries and Berger have been lapped, so only 4 drivers and cars are on the same lap, which is lap 48, which Mansell is about to finish. There he is, coming to cross the line. The gap now. Mansell is going through on his way to turn 1. The gap between Mansell and Senna, 4.38 seconds, is increasing. The gap between Senna and Prost is decreasing, 2.79 seconds. Here's the world champion. Little Alain Prost, who this morning came in at the end of the final setting up practice period, complaining about the fact that it was so cold that he hadn't been able to get the cars up to working temperatures. And they said, "But you're fastest, Alain." And he looked out and smiled at them and he said, "Aren't I a star?" with a smile on his face. And he is. Here's Mansell. 4 seconds, Mansell to Senna. 3 seconds and decreasing, Senna to Prost. 7 seconds covers the first 3. Rosberg is some 32 seconds behind now, in 4th position, but on his way to his first point since he joined McLaren. Dumfries and Berger, 5th and 6th, have been lapped.
Yes, I can only surmise that Rosberg has some sort of a problem with the car, obviously a minor one, but he was right there for the first half of the race, and over the last 10 to 15 laps he's really fallen away quite dramatically, but then he's got a big lead over Johnny Dumfries, so he'll be driving to look after the car and just to get it to the line and hold that 4th place and inherit anything, if anything exciting happens up front. So Mansell is now holding the gap fairly static to Prost, who I would think he's probably a little bit more worried about is Senna at the moment, because Prost was the man who was catching him a little while ago, but Mansell seems to have stemmed that problem, stopped it, responded, and they seem to be very evenly matched, these leading 3, although not very far apart, and any change in the balance of their relative performances will show up pretty quickly.
3.9 seconds, the gap first Mansell to second Senna, 3.2 seconds from Senna to Prost, who is third. Out of the race, Alan Jones, Jonathan Palmer, Riccardo Patrese, Stefan Johansson, Christian Danner, Philippe Stress, Nelson Piquet, René Arnoux, Martin Brundle, Jacques Lafitte. Both the Ligiers out then, and they did so well in practice as they had in Brazil. But now on lap 50, as you watch the race leader, Nigel Mansell, there is no question about whether he can cope with pressure. We know that he can. He showed us in both Brands Hatch and South Africa, and he'll do it again.
Yes, and having just said that I thought Mansell would be more worried about Prost and Senna, in fact, Senna, if anything, has got a bit closer to Mansell. So if he's leading 3, concertinaing back and forth with the gap. There you see all 3 of them. Mansell in the foreground, Senna in the middle, and coming up behind Senna, Alan Prost just before your picture then. So the battle is very definitely on. Remember that they're on the limited quantity of fuel, 195 litres, which is a new situation for this season. And of course in Brazil nobody was under a lot of pressure. They have adjustable boosts and they can fiddle from within the cockpit with the amount of power they give the engine, therefore the fuel consumption. And so it's going to be very interesting to see just who can sustain this pace, because this has been a really fast pressure race.
Well, you saw there that the gap is coming down. As James said, the gap is coming down between Mansell and Senna, and between Senna and Prost. Rosberg is still 4th, but Dumfries is right up with Rosberg, and he's got Berger right behind him. So it looks as though Dumfries could be unlapping himself from Keke Rosberg, in which case the Finnish ex-world champion, Keke Rosberg, who has been dropping back for a long, long time now, might be in trouble enough to deny him his 4th place. We're now on lap 51 out of 73. Look at Mansell. When they fall back, look, I'll give you the gaps. Here they come. You can see they're very close. Mansell to Senna is 1.8 seconds. Senna to Prost is 2.4 seconds. 4.2 seconds, therefore, now covers the first 3, and it was 7 seconds. So if Mansell is driving tactically, and I doubt that he is, he's better watch it. Williams. Another 20 laps to go, and yes, Senna is closing. Senna having lost the lead that he held for so long, because he led from lap 1 to lap 39, is now fighting to get it back again. And watch for Prost. There you see, Mansell to Senna, 1.725 seconds. And it was over 4. So, on lap 52 out of 72, the race has now caught a light, the Spanish Grand Prix, because Nigel Mansell, that we are looking at, who was leading Senna by over 4 seconds, has now been caught by the Brazilian. The gap is only about 1.7 seconds. And Alain Prost is a similar, this time, behind Senna. The gap between Mansell and Senna is 1.19 as they complete the lap, and between Senna and Prost is 2.5 seconds. In third position is Keke Rosberg, a long way back. Fifth is Dumfries. Sixth is Berger. Seventh is Farby. Eighth is Boutsen. Ninth, and a long, long way back, is Patrick Tambay.
Yes, and Johnny Dumfries has just, in fact, unlapped himself from Keke Rosberg, who, Keke Rosberg, of course, is running 4th, and Dumfries 5th, but he's got a long way to go to catch him and pass him, as it were, because he's a whole lap, or just under a lap behind. But still a fine drive by Johnny Dumfries. But this is where all the fun is happening, and Senna is virtually, they've concertinaed right back together again, the leading 3, and within another lap or 2, they're going to be nose to tail.
Oh, look at this as they go round turn 11. Mansell leads. Senna second. Justice Prost third. But he's going to be right in the picture soon. It's anybody's guess whether it's going to be a Williams win again, a Lotus win again, or a McLaren win yet again. Because there was Prost. And actually, Senna is gaining on Mansell a little more than Prost is gaining on Senna. Gaps coming up. Mansell to Senna, 1.15. Senna to Prost, 1.92 into turn 1. Still climbing slightly, 110 miles an hour, second gear, turn 2. Dropping down it towards the sweepers, 145 miles an hour. Mansell and Senna. Into turn 5. Prost there in third position. On to turn 6. This is about 120 miles an hour towards the S's. The left and right flick. There's the left. And there's the right. Up to turn 9. Second gear, hairpin 2. 90 miles an hour, believe it or not. Mansell, number 5, leading. Senna, number 12, second. Prost, number 1, world champion, third. Up to turn 10, 145 miles an hour. A left-handed turn 11, also 145. On down to third gear for turn 12, 110 miles an hour. Bullfighter bend, Senna. And Dumfries is stopping as he goes past the pit. Dumfries, that you can't see as you watch the battle for the lead. Johnny Dumfries, who was in 5th position, is slowing and has been passed by Gerhard Berger. So, bitter goal for Johnny Dumfries. And there is Dumfries coming out of his car to retire. But he's proved, not that he needed to, yet again, that he's a fine driver, worthy of Grand Prix drives. He was in the points at both Brazil and here at Spain, only to be denied them in both races. But now, back to the lead, fight on lap 55 out of 72. Well, I'm looking down the pit line as I talk to you, because I can tell you that all the Williams mechanics are clustered with the airline gantries out, as though they are expecting Nigel Mansell to want to come in. And something must be happening to Mansell for him to have caught Senna and pulled away as well as he did, and then to have had to slow up and let the Brazilian gain ground on him. And it could well be that Mansell's tyres are going off, and he's just reluctant to come in because he knows he will lose the lead and to his arch rival, and lose second place as well, because he would see Prost in his mirrors by now. So there's a tremendously interesting physical and psychological battle going on between those three that you're looking at. Mansell here, the lead, completing a lap, still holding that lead. Never mind about the stopwatch now, it's visual. But the gap between Mansell and Prost is 2.9 seconds. Going to be called lap 54. In fourth place is still Rosberg. Don't forget he was unlapped by Gran-Pri. But Rosberg is still fourth. Berger is fifth. Farby is sixth and very close to his teammate. So both the Benettons are in the points. Nail-biting stuff at the front of the Spanish Grand Prix. Oh, look at that. But you can see how close Senna is to Mansell now. But Nigel Mansell is not going to make it at all easy, and that certainly is the understatement of the year, for Ayrton Senna to pass him. Nigel Mansell will be legally making his car as wide as he possibly can to narrow the gap through which Senna could dive if he had the opportunity. Now, Senna knows it's Mansell in front of him. Senna knows that the Englishman is not going to give way, and he will be watching points. But now Prost is catching them. But they're coming up to the point at the end of this straight, after the hairpin, where a passing manoeuvre will be made by Senna sometime.
And just a little joker at the back, they've got Keke Rosberg just in front of the leading group, where they're coming up to lap, and Rosberg might just be able to do something to join in the fun and help his teammate Alain Prost a bit.
Lap 57 out of 72. So, Rosberg is about to be lapped, being caught by the race leader. Rosberg in fourth place, being caught by the race leader. There he is, Nigel Mansell, who's got right behind him Ayrton Senna second, who's got right behind him Alain Prost third. What is Rosberg going to do? What are Mansell, Senna and Prost going to do? Look at this. It's a three-car train now for the lead in the Spanish Grand Prix, and Mansell is through past Prost. Prost will move over, or will he? Past Rosberg, sorry. Mansell is through and past Rosberg. Now, what's Rosberg going to do about Senna and his teammates? Well, Senna is through, and there's another McLaren, and it must be Alain Prost. So the first three have lapped the fourth man. Nigel Mansell leading, Ayrton Senna second, and there is Mansell going through and taking Keke Rosberg on lap 57 and pulling away, followed by Senna lapping Rosberg, followed by Prost passing Rosberg, and I will tell you that unseen by you, Theo Farby has passed his teammate Gerhard Berger and moved up into fifth position. Down to sixth goes Berger, and now Rosberg, fourth place, is in danger from Theo Farby, because he's on the same lap as the Finnish ex-world champion in the McLaren. But still, those Williams mechanics are waiting, but they are looking comparatively relaxed. I think they're out in the pit lane just so that they're there if they are needed, and if Mansell decides to come in, not necessarily because they are expecting him to. Lap 58 out of 72, and you look down at the battle for the lead between, on the left, Nigel Mansell, Williams. Is he on his way to his third Grand Prix win? Second, in the middle, Ayrton Senna in the Lotus. Third, in the red and white McLaren, world champion Alain Prost. Fourth, a long way back, lapped in fact, Keke Rosberg. Fifth, Theo Fabi, Benetton. Sixth, Gerhard Berger, Benetton. Seventh, and 3 laps behind, Thierry Boutsen. And this is what the race is all about now. There's been an enormous number of retirements. Dumfries, Lafitte, Brundle, Alboreto, Arnoux, Piquet, Streff, Danner, Johansson, Patrese, Jonathan Palmer and Alan Jones. But the race hasn't lost excitement and interest for 1 second. Well, 72 laps. Some of you reading the publications may think that this is a 73-lap race, but as is not infrequent these days, a decision was made to cut the race time distance by a lap, and Senna is now really harrying Nigel Mansell. Two of the most determined drivers in Grand Prix racing, and Senna showing his front wheels to Mansell, and Mansell won't let him through if he can avoid it. Prost is gaining.
Yes, and I think Prost is going to sit off this battle a little bit for the moment, because he's probably wary that these two might get a bit emotional. Mansell and Senna, as Murray has stressed, they're not very good friends at the moment after the incident in Brazil, for which they both blame each other. And they're both pretty hard chargers, and I think Prost might just give it a couple more laps and let them sort themselves out before he challenges. He can't give them more than 3 or 4 more laps, because he's got to start doing something about making a move himself, as he's running out of laps. But I expect he'd like to see them sort themselves out first.
Senna going for it. He'll never get past on the outside, and he knocks up his tyres. Nigel, I'm surprised at Senna doing that. It's all right to go for it, but he's had to lock up his tyres. It's not inconceivable that he might have flat-spotted them, which would throw the balance of the car, but I don't think for one moment he did. Mansell up again. This is a replay, of course. And Keke Rosberg is into the pits. Keke Rosberg, who was in 4th position, is into the pits, and there he is. Rosberg then, the ex-world champion, is going to lose he's out. And he's still ahead of Theo Fabi and Berger, and there is Senna trying again. And onto the grass goes Senna. Out of the pit comes Rosberg.
Well, amazing they survived that. I'm afraid the director switched off at the worst possible moment. We lost the picture, but both cars in it, so battle really is taking place. And Prost, I think, is wisely just sitting off this a little, giving himself enough room to take evasive action in case they do tangle, because Mansell really shut the door hard then, and Senna had to take to the grass to avoid it, but they both emerged. Tremendous stuff. This is really hard racing.
And obviously the controlling factor is tyres. We didn't expect anybody to come in, but the pressure and the speed has obviously been such that tyre wear is marginal. Now this is where Senna can go for it again at the end of the short straight, coming up into the climbing right-hander at turn 1. He shows Mansell himself around the outside. I was expecting for a moment to see him try to dive on the inside, but of course Mansell was already there. And as James points out, Alain Prost is watching this battle from the point of view of a very high-speed observer, because it's not at all inconceivable the way these two are battling with a red mist in front of them, metaphorically speaking, so they could both go off and let Prost through into the lead. And again, Senna tries. Again, Mansell will have nothing of it. This is lap 61. Something's got to give. There's still 12 laps to go, 11 laps to go. I suspect that Nigel Mansell is battling to preserve grip for his Williams car, powered by Honda engine, with tyres which are going or may even have gone off. They get a bit grainy, they lose grip, but it is definitely marginal, because he wouldn't be able to go as quickly as he is going if it wasn't. Another lap. This is the hairpin into the straight, the longest straight, which is only half a kilometre long. Up to turn one they go again. The first three, Mansell, Senna, Prost, virtually as one. Rosberg is still fourth, notwithstanding his pit stop for tyres. But now Theo Fabi in fifth position is starting to catch the McLaren of fourth place man Rosberg. And Senna is all over the gearbox and rear wheels of Nigel Mansell's Williams. A fabulous race. I said it reminded me of Spain in 1981 when Villeneuve, in exactly the same sort of situation that Mansell is in now, calmly led from the front in an evil handling Ferrari, kept the others back simply because he had got the power on the straights with his turbo engine to punch away, and he won, and the first 5 home were covered by 1.24 seconds. Now, the gap as they come up to turn 12 with very few Spanish spectators to see them is about 0.7 seconds between first and third, even less than it was in that epic in 1981. The world champion of 1985 in third position. Potential world champion Ayrton Senna in front of him, and Nigel Mansell leads.
Just wonder in all this tremendous excitement whether the 3 drivers we're looking at have all been fully mindful of their fuel gauges and looking after fuel. Remember, it's 25 litres less than they were allowed last year. And the temptation, of course, when defending a position is just to wind that boost up for a little bit, if only for the straight, the one overtaking straight coming up past the pit. But to do that a few too many times, Senna climbing all over the back. He's having a look, and he's inside Mansell. And he certainly was going for the opportunity there. Of course, Prost is lurking, ready to pick up the pieces of any indiscretion or mistake.
Lap 63. Look at this replay and watch Senna go for it on the inside and watch Nigel Mansell say, "Oh, no, you don't." I suspect Nigel Mansell is grimly enjoying this because this time, being in the lead, he's got the whip hand and Senna is through. Senna is through and Prost is through. Incredible. As I say that, in the twinkling of an eye, Nigel Mansell goes from first to third. Senna is back in the lead, and can Prost catch him?
Yes, and a little unfortunate for Mansell, but that's the price you pay because Senna squeezed him and he fought for that position. There he is, and he didn't give way, but that lost him momentum out of the corner because he had to back off, and that, of course, carried Prost through. Had Nigel admitted the corner before, and Mansell's in the pit.
This is it. Mansell has decided that he's been hanging on tired rubber. Now that he's lost the place, he's got fresh tyres on again, and we're going to see an absolutely fantastic charge from lap 64 to 72. It was a tremendously fast pit stop. To be honest, I didn't see whether they put 4 new tyres on or less. I think and suspect it was just 2 new rears. But anyway, Nigel Mansell now in third position, fighting to get back on terms with this man, Ayrton Senna, and the man behind him, the cagey Frenchman, world champion Alain Prost, who's got 21 Grand Prix wins in his comparatively short racing history to Ayrton Senna's 2 wins. Ayrton won at Estoril last year, then he won in Belgium, both of them superb victories, and very definitely a world champion of the future. Now, Alain Prost out of the picture, quite literally. How far behind is he? Well, it would seem a long way behind, because I can only see what you can see at the present moment. Now, there's Senna, and there is Prost. The gap is now, as Prost goes through and Senna goes through and completes the lap, the gap is 2.46 seconds. And I'm going to watch for Nigel Mansell now, as you see Senna going to turn Prost in second place. Nigel Mansell is through and is still in the top three. Mansell is in third place. He's on lap 65. Even with the better grip that he will get from his new tyres once they've heated up to operating temperatures, I don't think there's a hope of Nigel Mansell getting with these two, let alone getting past them. But if he stays where he is, he's going to be in the points, which is more than he was at Brazil, through no fault of his own, he would say. So there's 26-year-old here, Senna. Lives in Isha. 9 pole positions this man has. And last year was his first year in a truly competitive car. And the only reason they've got those 4 on the caption there is because those are the 4 that really matter. Although the Benetton team would disagree with that last remark of mine, because Fabi and Berger are still in 5th and 6th positions and in the points as Senna goes through to complete another lap. Now the gap between Senna in the lead and Prost in second place is increasing. 4.1 seconds. What an absolutely superb race this young Brazilian has driven. From karts to Formula Ford 1600, where he won 2 British championships. Then to Formula Ford 2000, where he won the British and the European Championship. Then with the Dick Bennett's West Surrey Racing team to Formula 3, where he became British champion. Then to the Tolman team, where he jolly nearly won a Grand Prix in his first year at Monaco and finished well up in Portugal. Then, with some controversy last year, to the Lotus team, with which he is now, to win 2 Grand Prix, to get 7 pole positions, 4 second places, and finish very well up. And he should have won several other Grand Prix had he not had all sorts of mechanical problems. Well, this year, with very much the #1 position in the Lotus team, again with some controversy, which underlines what a grimly determined young man he is, and with the Renault engine, and this will be the first race win for the new pneumatically operated valve system Renault engine if Senna wins. And that'll be a great boost for the Renault concern. And Senna is pulling away because now on lap 67 out of 72, he is some 4 seconds, over 4 seconds in front of Alain Prost, who I think has decided to settle for second. Maybe he has a tyre problem.
Yes, you just saw the fastest lap catches for Nigel Mansell, and he's really flying now. Remember, he's got new tyres on, so we would expect him to be a lot quicker than the others, but we'll get a watch on it because it looks as if he might just be able to catch certainly Prost and possibly even Senna by the end of the race.
Wow. Well, there's Senna. 12.8 seconds between Senna, the leader, and Mansell in third position. That's handy and convenient. It gives me a benchmark. 12.8 seconds, remember that. There's the race leader. The Gerard Ducarouge designed team, the Lotus team led by Peter Waugh, who, when he became top man at Lotus, had frankly inherited a car which had no hope of winning. The first thing he did was to recruit Gerard Ducarouge to design the car, which he did superbly well. And then he recruited this man, Senna, and the gap is 5.5 seconds now between Senna and Prost. And you can see the gap between Prost and Mansell. Mansell is going for second.
Yes, Mansell's going to have him caught by the end of this lap. So that was a very good and brave decision by Mansell to dive for tyres at the end of the lap when he got his lead taken away from him. He's absolutely flying, and he's certainly going to catch Alain Prost, and he could well catch Ayrton Senna.
8.7 seconds between this man, Ayrton Senna, the leader, and a grimly determined, charging Nigel Mansell on new tyres. 8.7 seconds. Over 5 seconds between Senna and Prost. There's Prost second, there's Mansell third. Prost had a bit of a slide there. I think he is on very tired tyres. And this is lap 68. 72 lap race. Not 73 as originally intended. Race leader on his way to his third Grand Prix win. But if Nigel Mansell catches him, my goodness, what a needle match it's going to be. Now this is coming up to the end of the lap, and I'll give you the gap between Senna and Mansell, which I remind you was 8.7 seconds. There is Senna across the line, and Mansell and Prost come out of the hairpin absolutely together, and Mansell is going through to take second place. No, he's not. Now the inside. 6.23 seconds is the gap between Senna and Mansell.
Well, of course, with so much more grip than Prost and, of course, Senna when it comes to it, Mansell really shouldn't find overtaking nearly as big a problem as it has been in the past. But he missed getting past Prost as they started the lap going into turn one, and he's now got to wait, and this is valuable lost time for him.
Lap 69. Yes, and Prost is making it very difficult for Nigel Mansell to achieve his objective, which is not so much to finish second, because I think Nigel will be fairly relaxed about getting past Prost, but to catch Senna and take him. I don't think he can do that, but he can well finish second. 3 laps to go at the end of this one. 3 laps each of 2.6 miles, 4.2 kilometres, and this is Mansell's chance as Senna exits from turn 15. 6.2 seconds was the gap between Senna and Mansell, and Mansell's through, I can tell you that. There he is. Mansell is second. Nigel Mansell coming out of turn 13, now turn 14. Up to turn 15 and 16, and then into the pit straight. I've started the stopwatch on Ayrton Senna. The gap between Senna and Mansell was 6.2 seconds. The gap is now a whisker over that because Mansell and Prost were slowing each other up. But now Mansell will know that only Senna is between him and his third Grand Prix win.
And I think Mansell's going to be able to catch Senna, but it's going to be on the last lap. And is he going to be able to find a way round? He's got the advantage of new rubber, which is why he's so much quicker. But Senna, it's going to be pretty dramatic. Senna's going to shut the door everywhere.
Each of these men in the front have 2 Grand Prix wins. Both of them were achieved last year. Mansell at Brands Hatch for the European Grand Prix and in South Africa. Senna in Estoril and Belgium. So the Lotus leads, the Williams is second. And there's the leader. 7 seconds was the gap. Prost is dropping back. Just for the record, Rosberg is still 4th, Fabi is still 5th, and Berger is still in 6th position. 2 Benettons in the lead, but there goes Mansell. And the 2 Benettons, are both in the World Championship points. Now, coming through to the end of the lap, Senna crosses the line. The seconds are ticking away. The gap as Senna goes up into turn 1 and Mansell approaches is 5.2 seconds. So Mansell has taken 2 seconds out of Senna's lead. He's 5 seconds ahead. As James said, it's going to be a desperately close thing. Perhaps a second or 2 seconds, but on the way that they're going at the moment, it looks like Senna's victory, unless Mansell can really pull something sensational out of the bag. They're on lap 71 now. This is the penultimate, the last lap but one.
Yes, the critical thing for Mansell was not quite getting past Prost at the beginning of the lap as they went up the pit straight when he caught him up, and then having to sit behind him for very nearly a whole lap, and that really cost him because he actually dropped back on Senna while he was stuck behind Prost, and that was the vital thing. It doesn't look as if he's going to quite catch him now.
Yes, but Senna's catching somebody. I see there. I'll say again, it's one of the arrows. I say again, if there is any delay on the part of the man who's in front of Senna in terms of moving over, this will give Nigel Mansell his chance. This is lap 71, the last lap but one, and Senna is past the arrows, so he's clear. Is Mansell going to get past as easily? Here is Senna, starting lap 72, the last lap of the Spanish Grand Prix, and Mansell is now 1.57 seconds behind him.
He's going to catch him soon, so there's going to be a right scramble all the way around the last lap. Another 3 or 4 corners. Senna with the big advantage of being in front, but Mansell with the advantage of fresh tyres and a considerably greater degree of grip.
So into the last stages of the Spanish Grand Prix, they're coming down to the S's now, which is about halfway round the last lap. And very shortly, as Senna runs a bit wide and goes up onto the curving, Mansell is going to be on the rear wing of the black and gold Lotus with its Renault engine, and he is. Now, this is the 140 mile an hour turn 10 into turn 11. And Mansell could conceivably take Senna coming out of the hairpin on the final approach to the last straight of the Spanish Grand Prix. It's all going to depend on the exit from turns 14 and 15, which they're approaching now. Then into turn 16, the hairpin. It's going to be one of the closest Grand Prix finishes, whatever happens, that we've seen for a long, long time. They're coming up to the hairpin now. This is it. Down into second gear, and Mansell, if he gets it right, can sprint out of the rear wing of Senna's car. Senna moves across. He's keeping Mansell back, and he wins. Mansell won't like that any more than he likes at Brazil, but there is no doubt about the fact that Senna was taking advantage of the fact that he's got a clear circuit in front of him to keep Mansell back, and Ayrton Senna has won his 3rd Grand Prix in the Lotus here at Spain today by, what, a car's length or even less from Nigel Mansell. A brilliant drive by both of them, with Alain Prost in 3rd position. He's still to come home as the Frenchman at the end of the Spanish Grand Prix, but what a fantastic finish. And Senna's done it again. But Nigel Mansell has proved yet again with Prost 3rd and Rosberg 4th that he is the man of the moment. Now, with that Senna has won, Mansell 2nd, Prost 3rd, Rosberg 4th, Barbie 5th, and Berger 6th, it means to say that Ayrton Senna is now leading the World Championship from Nelson Piquet. 15 points to Senna and 9 to Piquet. Nigel Mansell in the second Williams is in 3rd position. Tying for 4th place are Jacques Lafitte and Alain Prost, with Keke Rosberg and René Arnoux tying for 6th position. A race to remember. And while we look forward to the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola in just 2 weeks' time. Yeah, hello? What terrific. Great stuff, yes. Gee whiz. Oh, thanks, John.
6e Berger, les 2 Toleman terminent dans les points. 7e Boutson, une Arrose à l'arrivée. Et 8e Tambeck, et lui à 6 tours. Boutson est à 4 tours. Eh bien, on revoit cette arrivée. Alors, la supériorité tant annoncée et confirmée tout de même des Williams Honda est battue en brèche aujourd'hui par cette étonnante Lotus Renault et ce non moins étonnant Ayrton Senna. Dans le dernier tour, Mansell a tourné en 1,29,1 contre une 30,7 à Senna. Alors 14 millièmes, c'est pas chiffrable, ça fait quelques centimètres. Regardez les deux concurrents. Eh bien, tous deux sont bien méritants, mais le point vainqueur est Senna, prend la tête du championnat du monde avec 15 points, devant Piquet 9, Mansell 6, Ross et Lafitte. Les deux copains se retrouvent à égalité avec 4 points. Premier point du championnat du monde, du champion du monde cette saison. Arnoux et Rosberg, 3 premiers points pour Rosberg également. Mais la course fut d'une rare intensité, d'une beauté totale. Et au championnat du monde des marques, Lotus et Williams sont à égalité avec chacune 15 points contre 7 au McLaren et Ligier. Eh bien, je crois que nous allons tenir l'antenne encore 4 minutes jusqu'à l'heure du début Eurovision de Paris-Roubaix, que l'on vous souhaite de suivre avec la même émotion, la même intensité que ce Grand Prix d'Espagne, dont on ne se lasse pas de revoir le passage de la ligne. Il y a aussi une arrivée absolument folle en Autriche entre Rosberg et De Angelis il y a quelques années. On va essayer de retrouver ça, je crois qu'on en a juste le temps. C'était en 82. Oui, et Rosberg avait terminé deuxième derrière De Angelis avec un retard de 5 centièmes de seconde. Ça semble beaucoup à côté des 14 millièmes d'aujourd'hui. À l'issue de ce Grand Prix d'Espagne à Jerez de la Frontera, dont je vous rappelle le classement. Victoire superbe de Ayrton Senna, la 3e de sa carrière en 32 Grands Prix. Ça commence à faire un bon pourcentage pour lui. Victoire de Ayrton Senna sur Lotus Renault, qui précède de 14 millième Nigel Mansell sur la Williams Honda. 3e Alain Prost sur la McLaren Tag Porsche à 21 secondes. 4e Rosberg sur la même voiture, sur une même voiture à un tour. Précédent Fabi, 6e sur Toleman BMW. Puis Berger, son coéquipier, 6e à un tour également. 7e Thierry Boutsen sur la Arrows BMW. Les BMW placent 3 moteurs à l'arrivée et qui est à 4 tours. Et puis Tambay sur la Lola Hart qui lui termine à 6 tours. Donc au niveau des moteurs, nous avons 3 BM, 1 Honda, 2 Tag, 1 Renault et un moteur Hart. C'était peut-être les adieux du moteur Hart aujourd'hui, puisque dans 15 jours, il est probable, possible en tout cas, qu'il y ait les 2 moteurs Ford nouveaux équipant la Lola pour le Grand Prix de San Marino, qui constituera du reste notre prochain rendez-vous. Pour l'instant, nous sommes tout à la joie de Ayrton Senna, superbe vainqueur, ce garçon de 26 ans, le Benjamin de la Formule 1. Superbe vainqueur sur le sec. Bon, jusque-là, il avait gagné le Grand Prix du Portugal l'an dernier et le Grand Prix de Belgique sous la pluie. Aujourd'hui, il s'impose en résistant magistralement à Nigel Mansell, à Piquet, à Prost aussi dans une certaine mesure. Et il remporte une victoire superbe, incontestable et incontestée dans ce Grand Prix d'Espagne. On se souhaite un Grand Prix de San Marino tout aussi intense dans 15 jours. Ce sera là notre prochain rendez-vous pour la Formule 1. Dans l'immédiat, vous avez rendez-vous avec Bertrand Dubout pour la course cycliste Paris-Roubaix. Merci de votre compagnie, mesdames, mesdemoiselles, messieurs. Bonne fin d'après-midi à tous. Ici Jacques Deschenaux qui vous parlait en direct de Jerez de la Frontera. À vous, Bertrand Dubout, à Roubaix.
展開っていうのは本当に、歴史は繰り返すって言われるわけですけれども、まさにね今日ご覧になってよく改めて90年のモナコグランプリの マンセル・セナの対決っていうのが思い出されるんじゃないでしょうかね。はい、
さあ F1 レジェンズ、今回は1986年第2戦スペイングランプリを今宮淳さんの解説でお送りしました。今宮さん、どうもありがとうございました。
また次回です。
That Ayrton Senna now leads the Drivers' Championship from Nelson Piquet, with Nigel Mansell in third position, Jacques Laffite and Alain Prost tying for fourth place, and an equal sixth, Keke Rosberg and René Arnoux. In the Constructors' Championship, it's a tie for the lead between Williams and Lotus, a tie for third place between Ligier and McLaren, with Benetton in fifth position and the Tyrrell team in sixth place. But what a race we had for the first three places. Ayrton, what about tyres from your point of view? What was the problem?
Oh, I think the last 7 laps, maybe 6-7 laps, then I had some big problems with tyres.
So what was going through your mind? Because you must have seen Nigel getting bigger and bigger in your mirrors.
Well, there was not much I could do. I was trying my best speed at that moment. Just the lack of grip was too much and was too late to make a pit stop. So I had to carry on and hope that he wouldn't catch me in time.
Nigel, did you leave your pit stop for tyres too late?
Well, I think for sure if you would have stopped 5 or 10 laps earlier, it would have been easier. But it took me a little longer to get past Alan than it should have done. But it was a very good race. I thought I'd won. It was very, very close at the finishing line. It was a very good race, and I'm very happy for my team. They did a fantastic pit stop, and if they hadn't have done that pit stop, then there was no way I was going to catch either of them.
Alain, well, you're back in the points again, world champion in 1985, and at least you got 4 points from this race. What stopped you from getting more than 4?
I think the problem today was any driver, any of the 3 drivers, we decided to change the tires before, I would say 25 laps before the end would have won the race. I think it was a very difficult decision. It was a very nice race, very nice fight. And I've decided to change the tires 27 laps before the end. I've showed the pits. And I was catching, at this moment, Ayrton and Nigel about 1 second per lap. So I said, OK, I continue. And after that, I thought it was too late. I think I've done a mistake.
Nigel, that race was watched by Frank Williams, and I know you want to say something to him.
You're reading my mind, absolutely. If Frank's watching now, I'm sorry, Frank, but I feel sure there was that much in it, and number 5 was in front. but next time. The car and the team worked tremendously, and the Honda engine was very good, fantastic.
So that's it from Spain, a magnificent race. Now we move to Italy in 2 weeks' time for the San Marino Grand Prix. Grand Prix is going to be there, and we hope you'll be watching it.
Nigel, those last few laps were absolutely fantastic. What was it like in the cockpit?
I tell you, I've never worked so hard in my whole career because I had so much to do, and the car was working so well and the engine was still working very well. But unfortunately, it wasn't hard enough. I think I lost by the smallest of margins.
Did Ayrton hold you up at all?
No, I mean, when you are leading the race, you are entitled to try and hold the next person up. I think he drove very, very well today, and he didn't shut the door on me. And as you could see at the finishing line, I was right alongside, and I think it was so close. I think they should give us 7.5 points each.
Oh, it was very hard for sure until the flag. From the green light to the flag was no time to think on anything else apart from driving as quick as possible, looking after the tires, and looking very much at the gauge of fuel.
What happened when you were overtaken early on?
Nothing I could do. It was on the straight line, power, acceleration. We know that the Honda has more than we have, and I had to do just my best with what I had in hands at that moment, and that's what I tried to do.
And what about Nigel's challenge in the final laps? That must have been very hard work for you.
Yes, because I saw him coming very quick, and I realized he had stopped and had new tires, and I had no tires at all, and so I had to really push with no grip. I had to really play around and slide around to try to keep some good speed, and then it was very dangerous. I nearly lost the car, maybe 2 laps from the end in one corner. The car went sideways, sideways, sideways. I thought I lost, and then it came back.
Was it a bit like doing a qualifying lap on the last lap of a Grand Prix?
It was worse because I didn't have grip. The tires were finished, so it was running on ice and trying to run fast.
So, one of the great Grand Prix of all time puts Ayrton Senna comfortably in the lead in the World Championship from Nelson Piquet and Nigel Mansell, with Lafitte and Prost in 4th and 5th positions. In the Constructors' Championship, there's a tie at the top of the table. Lotus Renault and Williams Honda alongside each other. In 2 weeks' time, we'll be at Imola for the San Marino Grand Prix. And if it's half as good a Grand Prix as Spain, it's going to be another great motor race.